right, it's 4 o'clock. I will call the City Plan Commission meeting to order. Call the roll. Ryan?
Here.
Marilyn?
Here.
Jerry?
Here.
Braden?
Here.
Kim? All right. Folks could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Marilyn, would you like to make the first motion to approve the minutes?
I make the motion to approve the minutes, thank you, of our last meeting 2 weeks ago, the 4-minute meeting.
All right, thank you. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes from our previous meeting? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes state aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Chair votes aye. Minutes are approved. All right, without objection, we're going to take number 9 first. Application for conditional use with exceptions by Amy Lee to operate Chubby Bunny Boba at 3325A South Business Drive. Elise, you want to give a staff report?
So we have Chubby Bunny Boba looking to go in at 3325A South Business Drive. They currently have a food truck that they're looking for a permanent space as well. They're going to sell things, boba tea, desserts, lemonade, fruit teas, and that sort of thing. They just need a permanent space.
Does the applicant have any additional things to add?
No, that's pretty much it. Like, we do want to food truck as well, and just looking to expand our business into a permanent location to offer more our services.
Good, sounds good. It's always good to see a food truck start and grow their businesses right here in town, so we appreciate that. Is there motions from, or questions from commission members?
I have a quick question
Braden?
for staff. So this is in the UC zone, so urban commercial. There's a few other things in that zone that would be allowed by rights, like the office use and indoor sales and things like that. What does this fall under that makes it have to go to a conditional use and not just be by right in the first place?
This one falls under indoor commercial entertainment. And the key thing with the indoor commercial entertainment is that they often have operating hours that extend slightly longer than you might find with indoor retail sales or office use or something similar like that.
Okay, got it. All right, nothing else for me.
Motions?
I make a motion to approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Any comment from the public on this item? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approval state aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Chair votes aye. That is approved. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, we'll jump back into the order of things. Item number 5, public hearing regarding a territorial and project plan amendment on tax incremental district number 17. Phil, you want to kick us off here? Phil from Ehlers. You just want to introduce yourself to the...
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor. Phil Costin with Ehlers. Good to be with you today. I'm with Kayla Thorpe also. I'll take you through the project plan amendment for TID 17, then I think we'll jump into 18 later on, but I'll start with 17 and give you a somewhat high-level overview. Everybody has a copy of the project plan, and I'm going to just kind of jump around the project plan a little bit just to orientate you and then to kind of circle back and talk about why the amendment. So on page number 9 is the existing boundary and proposed boundary. And so in the dark shading is the existing boundaries of the district, and we're looking to add the 2 areas identified in kind of that orangish color on the north side, and then there's one small little sliver parcel as well being added on kind of this on the north east side of the tax increment district. There is no parcels being removed. This is truly just an addition, even though it says on the top that there's removal of parcels. One thing I wanted to just point out is that the restaurant Pacifico, which is shaded here, should not be shaded. It's not in the tax increment district. It actually, the boundary line you see goes around it. It's not in the tax increment district. Just wanted to make that clear. I misspoke earlier at the Joint Review Board, so I wanted to make sure that was clear to everybody. You can see that better on page number 8, that it's outside the boundaries of the tax increment district. So that's the areas that are being added to the tax increment district, which is 6.38 acres of land that's being added. If we go to section 1, page 3, executive summary, I'm just going to walk through that executive summary, and then we'll talk a little bit more numbers as we get through the executive summary. So this is a 108.72 acre tax increment district that was created back in 2018. It's a rehab and conservation district. That means it has the ability to stay open for up to 27 years. So a lot of districts can only be 20 years, mixed use, industrial. We'll talk 18 a little bit to 18. That's an industrial district, that's 20 years. So a maximum 27-year life district. Why are we doing this amendment? Well, there's two reasons. One, we are amending the boundaries. I just showed you the parcels that are being added to the district. That's an amendment. And we're looking to change the projects that are identified within the tax increment district as well. On the bottom of page 3 is a summary of the projects that are being added, which include $3,250,000 for Commerce Street reconstruction, $2,250,000 for the Indiana Avenue Trail project, $250,000 for the Indiana Avenue Gateway signage, $1.2 million to reimburse the RDA for land purchases, and then $3.2 million to construct a pedestrian bridge, which is outside the boundaries of the district, but within a half mile of the tax increment district, which makes it eligible as long as it gets approved. That pedestrian bridge is a bridge that will run from, somebody had to direct me, Parker Johns, essentially across the bridge to Water Street?
It'll be to South Pier.
South Pier.
Yeah.
Okay. Great, thank you. So South Pier site. So that is identified for a project to be done in about 2026. There are grant funds that have been received as well by the city for that project. So this will help pay for the non-grant portion of the of that project through tax increment District 17. So it's not on the general levy then to pay for those projects. So those are the reasons we're amending the tax increment district. The result of that is that we are looking at the city generating additional increment, which is found on page number 23 of the project plan. So currently, the tax increment district has a incremental value increase of $20 million. So it's $20,641,100. That is what the property value has increased in this area since the district was created. And the increment, the revenue is generated off of that $20 million increase that you have seen. The Kepsel site is going to generate, redevelopment is going to generate about $10 million of valuation. That's per their development agreement. And then there's the proposed new development, mixed-use development to the north of that, where the area that we're adding that has an estimated value at completion of $30 million. That project to be started in '24, completed in '25, which will raise the total incremental value to around $60 million in this area once completed. That will have a substantial impact on the district and enable the city to undertake these capital expenditures that are being added, that $10 million of additional expenditures over time. On page 24 is that increment calculation sheet, how we get to the revenue. So two things have really occurred throughout the state of Wisconsin over the last 3 to 4 years. One, we've seen property values increase substantially. Statewide, it was about 13% last year. We expect that'll start slowing down. It can't continue forever. But we've also seen tax rates drop throughout the state of Wisconsin as well. You're not no different in Sheboygan, where recently you've gone from $21.86 per thousand to $19.19 per thousand. So a pretty substantial drop. So in this analysis, we have not assumed any property appreciation in this area, but we have also not assumed any drop in the mill rate, hoping they kind of offset each other to some extent. We still think there'll be pressure of tax rates dropping just due to levy limits and the constraints that the municipalities live under these days. So those are some of the key assumptions that we use to determine the actual increment that will be generated in TID 17. Page 25 is really a breakdown that we've been talking with the city about of when those projects will come online. So estimated for '24, and again, I know you have some new administrative staff. Some of this will have to work through that process as well. Commerce Street and the land purchase, and then some design work for the pedestrian bridge are really identified for '24, and then '26, the rest of the projects we'll be looking to undertake. So it'll be broken up over a couple of funding cycles to determine and better help cash flow as well. So, speaking of cash flow, on page 26, this district has done well since the beginning. It's a district that's been healthy. It's got a positive fund balance. And if you really just focus on the last couple of columns on the right, you'll see where it says annual and a cumulative balance. And our goal, working with the city, is to make sure that the cumulative balance that you see, the balance in that fund balance always remains positive through the life of the district. And so our goal here is just to make sure that you have a positive cash flow that shows, based on a lot of assumptions, fully acknowledge we're assuming interest rates, valuations, turnover, big box retailers being added to tax increment districts. And obviously this kind of mixed use development that's being proposed really fits within the kind of the zoning and plan for the master plan of this entire area. No, on section 13, no relocation of persons and nobody will be displaced as a result of the work that's being done. And then finally, we do put together on page 31 a chart, and this is really for the other taxing bodies. The Joint Review Board met at 3 o'clock today. They have a say in this, as you're probably aware. A Plan Commission, if you are comfortable with this, will vote to move this forward. It will go to Common Council, and then ultimately back to the Joint Review Board, school, county, technical college, and the city, and they'll have a final word as to whether or not the amendment goes through. Page 31 kind of gives them a feel for what that revenue is on an annual basis that they're waiting on. Because again, you're partnering with them through this process, and they're going to wait until this redevelopment happens, the development occurs, and the district is closed out before they really see the benefit of that. So that chart is what we use to really show them what their share of this, the increment is over time. So that's a relatively quick summary, Mayor. I'd be happy to answer questions.
Questions on 17 for the TID in District 17? Okay, Brad?
Mine's actually for City Engineer Ryan. So the Commerce Street reconstruction, this is, being an existing road, this is something that we'd have to kind of do anyway at some point, right? Like, this is...
Yeah, it's got to be done for development.
Right, so
Yeah.
that's kind of the operative piece to this addition is Commerce Street is the biggest additional investment that we're adding into the space, and then it's also the one that would help us get this proposed new development. So to me, I fully support this because it makes sense. Commerce Street's an existing street. We got to replace what's underneath and what's on it already. And the fact that we can use that to leverage a new development that fits the master plan, it's a home run.
Great, cool. All right, well, the item at hand is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak on TID 17? Anyone wishing to be heard? Anyone wishing to be heard? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the hearing for TID 17? Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Chair votes aye. That hearing is closed. We'll jump into 18. Phil?
I'm going to take you through the same analysis, kind of focused on the same areas for TID 18. Again, if we're going to start with a map on page number 10 to give you an idea of the existing boundaries and the additions that are being proposed for tax increment District 18. You can see in the gray shaded area is the existing boundaries. In the areas that are in that tan color are what are being proposed to be added. We'll talk about those in a little bit. but this is a pretty substantial tax increment district. Going back to the executive summary on page 3, this is a 290-acre industrial district created back in 2017, really to pay for public infrastructure and development incentives to promote industrial development. We are again looking to amend this district for the two purposes. The first purpose again is to pick up additional acreage for development, and then the second purpose is to add additional project costs, and the project costs are identified in the middle of that page that are being added, and they include $3.4 million for Taylor Drive, stormwater costs on the area to be annexed that may be delayed as far as when that stormwater cost is needed, $1.2 million, and then $800,000 for fill and compaction on the overall site. So those are the areas and those are the project costs that are being added. There are some additional maps here I think that are beneficial for people to see as well. Page 8 shows the parcels to be added a little more clearly on the north side of the district, and then in the middle of the district on page 9, the sites that are being added are clearly shown there as well. The large district, obviously, I would say district that's probably started a little bit slower than everybody had hoped. So we've added, again, the $5,425,000 in project costs. There are some pending projects that, and just learning earlier, that a lot of possible projects in the future that are coming in this area. But on page 26, we try to give you a feel for the different projects that have occurred, and then what's on the table, and then what is needed going forward to support the overall costs in this district. So right now, $21.4 million is the actual incremental value, and that's through construction year 22. So it doesn't include anything that happens in 23. What's hitting the tax rolls expected in 23 is a consolidated construction spec building that was built, again, working with the city assessor to get that valuation. NEMAC is going through an expansion, and we're going to be able to pick up what occurs in 24, not what occurs in 23, because this is an amendment that'll happen and take effect in 2024. So what happens in 24 at NEMAC will be picked up. If there's a future expansion in NEMAC, that would be picked up as well. Project Icebox, anticipated to be about $60 million on roughly, we were talking to the mayor earlier, 75 to 80 acres ballpark is what's being anticipated for Project Icebox. They have indicated a possible second project in the future if things go well with the first phase of Project Icebox. We really don't have that shown in here. That leaves about 120 acres of developable land. In the original project plan, this is the absorption that we had used primarily before. We maybe moved it up 1 year. But one change is the value per acre that has increased a little bit, and that's really based on what we're seeing from NEMAC's construction cost per acre and the Project Icebox construction cost per acre. So we bumped that up. Originally, it was $450,000 per acre. It's now $650,000. Construction costs have gone up substantially, and so those are the estimates that we have used at this point for that, for those remaining acres. Same assumptions on page 27, which is the increment page. Again, no property appreciation and no drop in the tax rate. So again, equalizing those out to help come up with a estimated revenue for these projects. Page 28 may modify just based on some discussion we had earlier. Likely Taylor Drive and the fill and compaction will occur, but the stormwater pond may delay until the area that was annexed moves forward. It's There's been a lot of moving parts with this district and where projects are going to land. So some of those project costs could drift out into later years or maybe not be needed at all. But likely stormwater will be needed on the area that's being annexed, so we want to keep it in the project plan for the future. Here, as I indicated, probably a slower start in this district than expected. On page 29 is that cash flow. I know there's a lot of red numbers that are shown here, and again, we don't want to overstate or understate what that impact is. It's substantial each year. That's why this is really a pressing project and area to make sure that the city puts its best foot forward to try to generate additional development in that area. That's partly why we're adding these additional acres to be able to do that. In the blue shading, those last couple of years, there's no approval to this, but municipalities that have districts that potentially end in the red have the ability to extend the life of the district. So we're showing a 3-year extension, just what the impact that would have, where you could potentially end in the black here with that 3-year extension in this district. This is an industrial district, so again, it really fits with the master plan and those issues. So we had to address those in the project plan, but again, this is really an industrial area and that's not going to change throughout the life of this district. So those are the initial comments on 18, and again, happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Phil regarding 18? Braden?
So first, just as you're just mentioning, the ability to extend the TID if necessarily, is there a limit to the length of the extension or the number of extensions that you could do if needed?
Yeah, you could do a 3-year extension in this case. Now, there's opportunities to do longer extensions. For districts that were created prior to this district, there's something called the technical college extension. This would not qualify for that because this was created after that date. So a 3-year extension without any other special action, I'll call it, or special legislation, which you can always seek as well. But right now, you're eligible for the 3-year extension.
Got it.
Additional questions on this?
I got another one.
Go for it.
All right. So then so this one is a little bit closer. Like the previous one, we're looking at closing out early. This one's coming right down to the wire. And I just wanted to understand what assumptions, whether it be from you or from staff, went into the projection on those developments, because that's an increased rate of development and higher value developments than what we've seen so far. And I know that when this started, interest rates were a lot lower than where they're at now. So I just want to kind of understand, whoever can best answer that, what goes into those assumptions.
Yeah, I can start and then welcome any other comments. I wish there was an exact math behind it. I will tell you that from an absorption standpoint, we're kind of looking at the activity that is really being brought forward over the next 2 years. We think things will really pick up out there once there's activity, you see more activity. So the absorption that we're using is probably a little bit higher than what was in the original project plan. I think that was more like 15 acres per year on average. It's bumped up to 20 acres. Again, the thought being, once you see activity out there, there'll be increased interest in the area. And the cost per acre, really look back at what's happening at NEMAC and what Project Icebox are at least proposed as. Acreage to the valuation to get back to that $650 per acre. It's not an exact number by any means. It's an estimate just given what we're seeing in other projects.
Got it. Okay.
Does that help answer the question?
Yep. Yes, it is.
Cool. All right, otherwise we'll open the public hearing for TID number 18. Anyone wishing to speak on TID 18? Anyone wishing to be heard? Anyone wishing to be heard? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of closing the hearing, state aye.
Aye.
Any objection? All right, hearing is closed. All right, next, item 7, consideration and possible action on approving the territorial and project plan amendments for TID Increment District 17. So Phil did the presentation. This is primarily the TID along Indiana Avenue. Any other general questions or comments from commission members on this item? Is there a motion to recommend?
So moved.
Moved and seconded, final thoughts? Seeing none, all those in favor state aye. Aye. Any objections? Seeing none, chair votes aye. Thank you. Same question for number 8, consideration and possible action on approving the territorial and project plan amendments to tax increment District 18. Any comments on this item? Any motions to recommend on this item? Moved and seconded, seeing no cues, all those in favor of approval state aye. Aye. Any objection? Chair votes aye, that item is approved. All right, next meeting, thanks Phil. Next meeting, November 28th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor of adjournment state aye. Aye. All right, we're adjourned at 4:26, thanks everyone.